Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So as I'm approaching FIRE within the next 5 years, I would say, as I also family plan, my drive and motivation to pay off my primary residence mortgage has increased significantly. If you were to ask me during COVID 4 or 5 years ago, I would say never pay off your primary residence. You want to leverage as much as possible, and you get tax write-offs when you own a single family home as a primary residence. So you can write off, I think, up to maybe $10,000 in California between property tax, interest, and obviously I'm way above that, so I am capped. But you do get some tax write-offs, and keep in mind, back in COVID times, 2020, 2021, interest rates were below 3%. So it's easy to say, okay, well, don't pay off. Instead of making extra payments to your house, you can invest that in the S&P 500 and earn on average 7 to 8% versus pay off a mortgage, which is 3%. However, my current mortgage is 6.5%. And if I were to invest that into the S&P 500, I might get 7 to 8%. So the gap's not as large. So it actually makes more sense for me to pay off my mortgage, my primary residence mortgage, because I could lock in a guaranteed 6.5%. But I was even thinking about it even further. Let's make it more extreme. What happens if I was at a below 3% interest rate on my primary residence? I still think today I'd pay it off if I want to retire early. And these are my reasons why. So for me, I am retiring early. Most of my net worth is from real estate. So I have like $5 million in equity in real estate. I cash flow about $8,000 to $10,000 a month net after all expenses. But reality is, with cash flow in real estate, it's not as stable. So I would only comfortably live off of 25% of my supposed real estate cash flow. So if let's say for easy math, I am netting $10,000 a month on average, I'd only feel comfortable living off of maybe $2,000 to $2,500 a month of that cash flow, which is enough to cover my property tax, my insurance, my HOA, and my utility bills. My actual mortgage is about $5,000 a month. So, because I put 5% down, 6.5% interest rate, I have to pay a little bit of PMI on this deal. So I know my real estate income, my real estate portfolio could cover my property tax, my insurance, and HOA. So basically I can live there for free, assuming no mortgage. So for me, a big part of FIRE is not about, obviously income has infinite income potential. And depending on how good you are at making money and your business and all this. But I will preface that business income is variable as well. Like you have really good years and then you have really bad years. And it's very inconsistent. So the only thing that is consistent in my mind. So what I realized with retiring early is your income potential is unlimited. Like, for example, when you work a W-2, for the most part, your income's pretty capped. I mean, you can move up the corporate ladder, make more money. With business, it's infinite, but it's always not guaranteed either. Like, there's a period where your business can be doing well, you're making a lot of money, and there's a period where your business is not doing well, you can go out of business. The thing that's constant are your expenses. And your biggest expense, typically, it's going to be where you live, your mortgage, or your rent. So if I didn't own a primary residence and I was cash flowing $2,500 a month that I could use for my real estate income, monthly income, remember 25% of $10,000, that's enough to cover for rent for like maybe a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom apartment here in Los Angeles. For me, I want to live in, a decent, at least a 3-bedroom house where I can raise my family. So I choose to, own a primary residence as a personal choice. And I can rent a lot cheaper, obviously. So for me, my mortgage is my biggest expense, and which is about $5,000 a month guaranteed. So from there, I own a lot of assets where And especially in California, where it's a lot of equity, no cash flow or negative cash flow. So it's actually a double win if I were to sell one of my single family homes, which has a lot of equity, little to no cash flow, take that money, that equity, pay capital gains tax, long-term capital gains tax of up to 15-20%, pay my depreciation recapture, take whatever's left over, and then pay off my primary residence. So now I wiped off a $5,000 a month mortgage, which is my largest expense. Now my living expense per year drops significantly. So let's say 5,000 times, that's $60,000. If we were to do the 4% rule of that, that's an additional, I think about, times that by 25. So I can't do the math right now, but let's just say it's $2.5 million. That's an additional $2.5 million of net worth that I would need to hit my FIRE number. Or I just could sell my property, which has $800,000 of equity in there, which is trapped, and pay off my primary residence. And now I can lower my FIRE number by about $2.5 million, potentially. So that's where it kind of changes my mindset a little bit. Like, okay, so I'm less stressed by having no mortgage because I have a place to live. Remember, my property tax, insurance, HOA is about $2,000 a month, but my $10,000 a month cash flow, which would be unaffected if I were to sell my single family home that doesn't even cash flow right now, it's just equity, asset rich, cash poor. I could take that property, which is probably a little bit cash flow negative, if I'm being honest. If there's like maintenance, it's negative now. I'm managing the property as well. I can wipe off my $5,000 a month mortgage, have a smaller FIRE number, and I can sleep well at night. And, for me, whether my real estate income comes in or not that month, or if my business income is not as strong, I'm not as stressed because I can afford $2,000 a month. And if I have $100,000 as a reserve, that's 50 months worth of mortgage payments. So I'm feeling comfortable. And I know, like, if push comes to shove, I can go back and work again. It's not ideal, but at my pharmacist salary, $2,000 a month, relatively speaking, is a small amount. So this is kind of like why paying on the mortgage is the hugest step. Like, the moment I want to retire, I'd probably just pay off my primary residence, pay off that mortgage. And I've done that because I've bought real estate that has a lot of appreciation in there. And yes, I would be selling an asset that I locked in a 3% interest rate on, sell that, pay capital gains tax, pay depreciation recapture, and pay off my primary residence. And now I can sleep more comfortably knowing that I always have a roof over my head. My expenses are lower. And when my expenses are lower, it's less stressful. So for me, when I FIRE, I want a paid off primary residence. Once it's paid off, I'll probably just get a HELOC on it in case I need some quick cash to go buy some real estate. I would have sold an asset that is break-even cash flow or slightly negative. So it's not going to affect my $10,000 a month because my apartment complexes are carrying the team, if I'm being honest. I could, at that point, if I want to, liquidate additional single-family home that maybe doesn't cash flow, take that money and pay capital gains tax, pay depreciation recapture, and then dump that in SP 500. So for my FIRE position, I want for sure a paid off house. For me, I want at least $100,000, $200,000 in just liquid in savings. Why that amount? That's just my comfort level, given all the real estate that I have. I want to be able to afford to pay for a $30,000 roof and not be stressed. So minimum's $100,000, ideally $200,000 in cash, so that if I need to replace the roof, which is $30,000, I still have, additional $70,000 or $170,000. $70,000 is a little bit too short. I'd rather have $170,000. So I would have that money in, high yield savings account, do a T-bill ladder, assuming treasuries are okay, or something like that. And then on top of that, I would still kind of do my side business, which is like YouTube coaching, to get income coming in here and there. And the way I would view it is whatever money I made through my side hustle income, through coaching, and all that, I probably just would spend that and add it on top of whatever rental income I'm getting. Because at this point, I just want to retire and enjoy life. And, I don't want to keep my expenses high or want to keep them as low as possible. So by wiping off that mortgage, it gives me the buffer. So let's just say in that 1 month, I do cash flow like 10K a month and I don't have any major expenses. And over time, rental incomes go up and I make more and more cash flow. I can just start to spend all that cash flow. Like I don't have to like be as frugal. I just can spend on what brings me value and joy. But like I said, I want a paid off house, 200K in liquid cash, and probably want more money in my brokerage account and my whole life insurance, which is more liquid compared to my 401k and my IRA. So that's kind of my game plan. So I know I kind of rambled a bit, but high level, paid off primary, number one. Number two is if I want more, and I want more liquidity. So I want at least 200K liquid cash in high yield savings account or T-bill ladder. Number three is I might want to liquidate some more real estate to dump it in this index funds in a brokerage account because I want more liquidity. So I have to pay taxes on it. Number four is whatever money I make from my side hustle, I'd probably just would spend for my living expense in my life. And I'm not stressed about it. If I make money, great. If I don't, that's okay. It's just a cherry on top. And next one is I would, I'm living off 25% of my cash flow conservatively, but if I could live off 50% or 75% and it's okay, then I'll increase it and then live off that as well. So for me, I have about roughly $1 million, I would say, in like stocks, like 401k. So if I live off the 4% of that, that's going to be about 40K. So 40K a year, divide that by 12, that's roughly $3,000 that I can live off of, plus my real estate income that I have. So, to me, it's not enough. So like I said, I might have to liquidate some more real estate or start paying off, sell some properties to pay off my other properties to boost up the cash flow even further. So imagine I could sell one of my single family homes, which is break even, pay off two of my assets, own them free and clear, and that would bump up my cash flow by about $3,000 a month. And now that $3,000 a month might be enough to cover my living expense. So there's many options that you can do. And I'm privileged to be in the position because I built up my assets through real estate. So that's kind of my plan with FIRE in the next 5 years. Obviously, I'm going to document my journey so that you can learn from it and that you can take nuggets from it and apply it to your life. But that's just kind of my thought process as to why a key piece of retiring early is paying off your primary residence. And I choose to live in LA, which is expensive. So I need $800,000 to pay my primary residence. But if I was okay moving and living in like Vegas, you can buy something for $500,000. Or you can move somewhere where you can buy a house for 200, 300K. I could sell my house, take that money, pay it, own it free and clear. And then at that point, I'm not really worried. I have extra money on top of that I can live and invest. So you can, when you retire, you could change your living situation. But right now, I just want to live in LA because it's a good location. It's nice to travel around, and it's just hard to leave California, if I'm being honest. So I'm playing a little bit on harder mode because I want to live in a high cost of living area. Versus if I were to move to like somewhere cheaper, like Fontana, or somewhere more east, like San Bernardino, I get something much cheaper. But, but maybe my mind will change. But right now, LA makes the most sense for me. So anyways, let me know what questions you have. Hopefully you found value from the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the link down below. Otherwise, hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.